Hello and welcome to Cursory News. Today we have news on the Year 7s and how they're progressing, door restrictions and whether they should exist, the new school day and if the students at Tallis agree with it. Then lastly, new teachers and how they're finding Tallis. We will now go to Cavan interviewing a Year 7.
First of all, we had the chance to interview the new Year 7s to see how they're getting on at Tallis in their first few weeks. Let's find out.
Different teachers in different lessons, period, times of like lessons, what time you finish, what you do, and more fun.
Door restrictions at Tallis create issues. These consist of not enough time in between lessons causing students to be late. Crowded doorways, this could lead to injuries and accidents. Now over to Cavan.
Ever since we moved into the new school, there has been several door restrictions to stop us from getting access to certain parts of the building. We will now go to Mr. Dean to discuss this.
I decide with the help of my colleagues on the senior leadership team which doors are accessible at what times during the day, what time they open, what time they close. We have a duty of care, which means that we have to be in control of every student that's on the school site. And this site is, building-wise, is 20,000 square metres. And so we have to keep a control of where people are. The reception was never designed as being the main entrance of the school. It is a feature. It is for parents, visitors to come through. The 6 of them are allowed through there because there's a smaller number of them. And the design is such that if we had nearly 2,000 people running through there, as in every morning, every afternoon, every break time, it would be freezing in the winter because the doors would be open all the time. The other side of the buildings, we've got 6 different entrances for you to come in. So it actually makes it safer to not have people coming through the same entrance. Again, health and safety. We have to be able to say that people are safe, that they are secure in what they're doing. I would love to be able to open the blocks up every day at lunchtimes and break times. What it needs is the cooperation of the whole community, as in the students as well as the staff.
I don't think there should be any door restrictions in the school because the queues are being too long, which is causing more trouble than having the doors shut in the first place. Because there'd be less queues and people wouldn't have to queue for as long to get their lunch.
Well, the restrictions are pretty pointless because sometimes if you need to go to a certain place, you're just not allowed to. For example, if you have a certain meeting with a teacher, you'll have to have your planner signed, but sometimes the teacher's a bit busy to have these certain things done, so you're just going to miss out on your meeting or various other things. In some cases, I think it would be better with the restrictions there because it stops harm happening to the school building, but then without them it'll be a lot easier to be able to do your own thing.
Since September there have been at least 10 new teachers starting at Tallis School. Most students don't know the new teachers yet, so we wanted to find out how the new teachers feel about Tallis. Over to Cavan talking to a new teacher.
Since the new year Tallis School started, several new teachers have joined and we wanted to find out how they're getting along. We now go to Mr. Avery to see how he's feeling about Tallis School.
I've been teaching at my previous school for 12 years. My old head teacher knows the area. He had a nephew that had just left the 6th form, so he knew the school, knew the area and said it's a fantastic school and the time was right for me to move to the next level of teaching. I was at my last school for 12 years and I started there as a young teacher all the way up to a senior teacher. So I've had 12 years of knowing students, their parents and all the staff. So it was like a family, so I'd left like a family. And I met my wife there and she still works there. So it was I've left the family and now I've got to build all that up in a brand new school. So that's why it's very different. So I've left somewhere that I cared about very dearly. I'm now coming to somewhere where I want to build that same kind of relationship.
Tallis has recently been undergoing a lot of changes. Students have had to adapt to the new time schedule, which is 10 minutes extra break, 15 cut-off lunch, and we leave school 10 minutes earlier. Back to Cavan on this story.
We have had a series of changes over the last year within the new school day. We will now go to one of our teachers about this story.
Senior management basically made the decision to change the new school day. I think they changed the school day because of the old building and the fact that the corridors were quite crowded, the changeover of lessons and at break and at lunch, so it was becoming a health and safety issue. If I'm honest, I did prefer an hour for lunch, so a shorter lunch is a little bit annoying, but then we get a longer break, but like I say, I prefer an hour for lunch.
Right, the new school day, I think, was a decision made by, it was certainly a decision made by senior management, because anything like that needs to be made by senior management. So I believe Mr. Gregg and possibly Mr. Parker while they were still here. They changed the new school day because they believed that lunch was too long, and that at the end of lunchtime students were getting bored and were getting kind of hyperactive, and so were consequently going to period 5 lessons a bit sort of excited and crazy, because the end of lunch was too long, they had nothing to do apparently, and were therefore getting bored and kind of going a bit crazy. After the changes we've had in the last 2 or 3 years, no. I think we should stick with what we've got and keep that for a few years, because to keep changing things is too much. It's too confusing for people, and students forget, to be honest. I still get students who come back late after lunch because they don't realise when period 5 starts now, because lunch changed. So if we were to change it again, it'd just be too confusing.